the Greek island of Chios 1 year ago. Wasim Omar and his son Ali are remembering their flight from Syria and a terrifying crossing from Turkey to Greece in a smuggler's boat. When we met in a refugee camp on the island, Omar said his dream was to reach Germany. A year later, almost to the day, we found them again, a world away, but mission accomplished, in a small town near Mannheim. Step one of a new life, he hopes.
Because of the war, we came here zero, without anything. Just we have our education to restart our life again.
Staying in government-provided housing, Omar is waiting for his asylum claim to be processed, along with Ali, his wife, and their 2 other children who've just started at a German school.
Do you think that one day you will consider yourself to be German?
I hope so. I hope. Look, German is very great country. Nobody can say opposite of that, in my opinion.
Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, the capital, built for a Prussian king in the 18th century, and now one of Europe's great symbols of unity. But when the German Chancellor Angela Merkel opened the door to nearly 1 million refugees in 2015, she was on her own, a gamble many at the time said would cost her her political career. Not so, apparently. She's still outpacing the competition ahead of parliamentary elections later this week. Her decision to absorb so many newcomers, telling the nation, "We can do this," has not hurt her, says analyst Josef Janning.
This is a pretty well-governed country and rather affluent. So it is not a question of the means. It is a question of, do we allow ourselves the time that it takes to gradually integrate these people.
But that doesn't mean the refugee crisis hasn't offered a foot up to the far right. Dresden, once the Florence of the Elbe, destroyed by Allied bombing in 1945 and then restored to its former splendor. But there are some ugly undercurrents. Weekly rallies by a group called Pegida, Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the West. Merkel must go, they're chanting. This man refers to refugees as animals who must be inspected and quarantined. On stage, speakers warn the crowd not to let Germany become an immigration country, like Australia or Canada. The media is not popular. Lügenpresse, some of them call us, lying press, an old Nazi slur resurrected.
Pegida has been around since 2014. Its support has dropped in other parts of the country, but Dresden remains a stronghold.
Most in the crowd are older, pensioners, but there are young faces too. This 28-year-old belongs to the Identitarian movement, a new radical group of nationalistic youth.
Here in Dresden, people are showing very openly their flags to make sure that people don't forget there is a German people and who they are and the resistance they show.
Not everyone likes the weekly marches. This social worker says Germany's former East has a harder time with outsiders than the rest of the country.
It's a problem here, being afraid of things you don't know.
It's not the first time Germany has had to grapple with a large number of foreigners arriving. Waves of Turkish guest workers, Gastarbeiter, came in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and stayed, changing the face of neighborhoods like Kreuzberg back in Berlin. Many of their children say they still don't feel accepted, including Ibo Omar, who grew up in Berlin and now runs a popular graffiti art store.
I'm a Berliner, yes.
Are you a German?
No. No.
What's the difference?
The difference is I don't associate myself, or I don't identify myself with a nation that did not identify with me.
The hope is, of course, that this time Germany will do better. Analysts say Merkel will have to if she wants to keep mainstream voters assured that Germany will continue to prosper, precisely because of fear-mongering about refugees from the right.
Well, it's not the prime issue whether Merkel was right in 2015. But the prime issue is, how do we deal with the people who are here now?
There are signs of a shift. Even venerated institutions like the German Historical Museum are getting involved in integration programs. Press officer Boris Nietzsche says about 20% of the museum's German visitors have a migration background.
We have to deal with the idea that we're telling and explaining German history not anymore just to Germans. We have to explain it to people with a completely different background.
Newcomers can join free tours in Arabic twice a week. Today's guide, Salma Jrej, is herself a Syrian refugee.
We tried using social media to advocate for our tours, and we distributed flyers all over Berlin, especially in camps and in German schools and integration courses.
The idea is that a stroll through German history will help refugees build connections to their new home. The exhibitions depicting past conflicts seem to resonate the most with Syrians like Farah Khalife.
Germany came really one of the most important countries of the world after a big war. So there's really hope for us that maybe we can build our country.
It is a sentiment echoed almost to the word by Wasim Omar.
They start from zero to build their countries, and they did it. And now, Germany is one of the greatest countries in the world.
And it's offered his family a second chance, he hopes.
But do you think that you are a brave man?
Maybe I'm lucky more than brave, because to be brave without lucky, you will lose.
But he's not afraid to look out upon this next horizon, his eye still on the dream. They are running towards it, the refugees, but perhaps Germany too. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Berlin.